If you're working a 9 to 5 job and trying to build a business around that, you'll find that staying focused is one of the hardest challenges you'll face. You'll be drained from the day, distractions will be so easy to fall into, and without the right system in place, it's easy to waste months without making any real progress. And I went through this myself. I'll show you some photos here of me when I was in my 9 to 5 roles. I've been worked in construction, a housing association. I've worked on businesses that were failing before I found a business that was successful. And throughout this whole time while I was doing it alongside my job, I found it so difficult to escape the 9 to 5 grind because I couldn't focus and I couldn't put the right attention to the right things that mattered. So today I'm going to show you exactly how you can stay focused to build a 7-figure business without burning out. So first of all, let's show you something that you might resonate with. And this is probably what your system looks like right now. I'll put myself in the middle because this was me not too long ago. You start out by getting up and going to work first thing in the morning to your 9 to 5 job, and then you work throughout the full day. And so then after you've worked your full day, you get home tired because you've been working all day. You've worked hard to earn the living that you're earning at the moment, and you get home tired. And so what is the first thing you do when you want to get home and you're feeling tired is you want to relax, you want to rest. You want to, rightfully so, you've worked hard all day. The first thing on your mind is to relax, it's to rest, it's to recover. And so when you're resting, eventually you just take it easier in the evening and you're resting and relaxing until you wake up the next day and you get back up to go to work, and that cycle repeats over and over again. And you never feel like you have the headspace or the time in order to put the right amount of focus and to be consistent towards building a business so you can start to see success. So how do we actually break free of this cycle? I'm going to go through the 5 steps now that I followed in order to break free from a 9 to 5 job and build a successful business. Because without a plan, without the 5 steps that I'm going to share today, it's easy to fall into the common mistakes that you might be familiar with. One of those is trying to do too much at one time. Because you get this big goal, you get ambitious, you feel excited, and you try and take it on too much at once. And so you burn out because you're trying to do too much in one go. Or you might find yourself that you've got no clear plan for the limited time that you have. Because you've got such limited time, you've got to be so intentional with the time that you do have. And if you don't have a clear plan for that time you have, it's easy to just waste time outside of the 9 to 5 job that you have. And another thing that you might resonate with is that you feel like you're always relying on motivation instead of habits. And if you don't feel motivated at the end of the day because you're tired from work, there's nothing to keep you going and take the action because you don't have any healthy habits in place. So that's what we're going to break through today. So these are the 5 steps to build a business alongside your 9 to 5 job. Step 1 is to take 1 action per day. Now the reason this is so powerful is because we need to condense down what we're doing into small, simple actions that actually makes it hard to fail. Because the biggest mistake I see is that people are trying to do too much in one go. You don't need to put in 4 hours after work. If you try and G yourself up when you get back from work to say, I'm going to do 4 hours now, I'm going to smash it, how can you get the energy up after you've done a full day of work to say, right now I need to put in 4 hours into my day alongside the job to build a business? It's going to be so overwhelming that you'll never start if you try and do too much in one go. So instead, the antidote to this is just 1 focused action per day, something that moves your business forward. Now, depending on what business you're in, you'll need to work out what the most focused action is. But for example, when you're running an e-commerce business, maybe that's contacting suppliers, maybe that's creating, if you're in if you're building a YouTube channel, maybe it's creating a video, maybe you're back in an e-commerce business and it would be setting up your Shopify store. But just 1 action, and even within these big actions, you break it right down to be 1 sub-action. So for contacting suppliers, if you've just got a little bit of time and you're going to do 1 action per day, maybe it's just listing the contact information for 10 suppliers. And then the next day it's contact 5 of those suppliers. And you're breaking it right down into things that really move the needle for your business, but things that aren't overwhelming to get started in one go. Because 1 action per day will compound into massive progress. Now, the best way to describe what happens if you get this wrong is on a graph here. So if you try and do too much in one go, what happens is an unhappy face. And I'll show you why you have an unhappy face. Because in one go, too much in one go, this is time along this axis, this is time. And you do too much early on. So you go up like this, you're making some real progress. This is progress along here. Make some real progress. But because you've tried to do too much, you burn out at this stage and you decide it's too hard to do that much in one go ever again. And so you lose your momentum, you lose your motivation, and you never get anywhere, and you end up right back where you started because you haven't taken consistent action. See, definitely moment for an unhappy face. Versus, if you do little and often, this is what happens. You don't see the same quick success. It doesn't happen because you have to be patient, and you actually start out after the first few days behind where you might have been if you'd done loads in the first few days. But that's not what matters. What we want to do is achieve things over the long term and get to the amount of progress that's up here rather than progress that's down here. And the only way we reach that is if we do little and often, and we gradually climb to a point where we've achieved big things. And when you achieve big things, you can be proud of ourselves and we can improve the circumstances that we live in. So you get the smiley face. But little and often works much better than too much in one go. And that's step one. So really take that in, understand that it has to be one step at a time. For me, with my journey, this step one was so important for me to stop being overwhelmed, because I would make a goal for myself to become rich and have an online business and to be successful. And when you have a goal that's so vague like that and so massive, I didn't know what it actually meant day to day, so I couldn't take action. So you need to break it right down into one action per day. Step 2 now. Decide your action the day before. Now that we've agreed that we need to take one action per day, the only way we're going to know what we're actually meant to be doing is by setting that as an intention the day before. Because after the long work day that you've been in, the last thing you want to do is decide what you need to do and do it as well. If you decide the night before, then you just sit down and execute immediately. You don't have to decide what you're going to do. There's an even better way that I found for being able to do this, and that's having an accountability partner. So I got into a community early on in my business journey so that I could find people around me that would hold me accountable to taking one action a day. And I'd find people that I would tell that I'm going to take one action per day, and they would be there to hold me accountable to be taking that one action per day. Because when you tell someone what you're going to do tomorrow, you're way more likely to actually do it rather than if you just tell yourself that you're going to do it. So get someone to hold you accountable. Now, inside my Relentless Co community, inside the classroom here, you can actually find your own accountability partner who will help you get through this, especially if you're in a busy 9-to-5 job. We've got a community full of people that are building businesses alongside their 9-to-5 jobs. And so you can find somebody that's in the same position and you can work through it together. And I've put together this accountability partner finder. That means you can find somebody that you resonate with straight away. And there's loads of tools and tips to find the best accountability partner in here. So check that out if you want a head start in deciding what you're going to do the day before. Now, step 3. We need to make this a habit with non-negotiable routines. Because what happens if you wait until you just feel like working at the end of a full workday is a guaranteed way to fail. Because I don't know many people, I can probably count on one hand the amount of people that consistently feel excited to work on a business after they've been at a full 9-to-5 workday. So if you're setting yourself up to just wait until you feel like it, you're guaranteeing yourself to fail because you won't have that motivation. We can't rely on motivation. It's a very unreliable power. Instead, you need to make working on your business part of the routine that you have. So to make it a routine, you want to set a fixed time every day where you always do that one action. So it could be 7 a.m, it could be 7 p.m. after work, but it has to be non-negotiable. You have to find a time in your day that works. So for me, I would rather set things first thing in the morning rather than at night, because I started work not until about 8:30, 9 a.m. And so I felt like I could go to bed a bit earlier and wake up a bit earlier and do one thing, non-negotiable, one action before I started work. And that way, if I did anything when I got back from work, it was a bonus because I'd already got the most important thing done in the morning. Now, what better way to show you how important this is rather than the graphs that I love to build? And you can see a similar pattern emerging here. This graph, another unhappy face, because this is what happens if you're relying on motivation. Because motivation, as we said, it's unreliable. You'll have it for the first few days after you set a goal and you'll feel motivated. But inevitably something happens here early on when you don't suddenly wake up or suddenly you get back from work and they don't have that motivation to work on your goals that you had before. So what's going to get you through there? And if you're waiting on motivation as the only reason why you'd ever take an action, then it's not going to arrive and you're never going to be able to move up in progress. Versus the happy face, and that is habits rather than motivation. Because when you've got habits in place, you'll start out slower because maybe you don't have the motivation when you get started because you're just following a habit. But over time, because a habit takes over, because you know at 7 a.m. every morning I'm going to take one action, over time that compounds and you take an action every single day for a few months and you'll be in an unrecognizable position with habits rather than motivation. Okay, step 4 to take is you need to make it stick by knowing your why in the first place. And this has to be one of the most important things if you're going to try and build a business alongside a 9-to-5 job. You're going to be in a difficult situation where you're not going to have a lot of energy, you're not going to have a lot of time, it's going to be tough, it's not going to be easy. So the only way you push through it is by having a strong desire and a strong reason why you're doing this in the first place. And that reason why has to overpower all of the other forces that are telling you to rest and relax and start again tomorrow. It has to be stronger. So now the way that we make it stronger is by having something that really feels emotional in your mind and in your heart. You feel it inside your body. You feel like a feeling of excitement when you create the end destination that you're working towards. So it has to be strong. And when you've got those days that come up when you feel tired or unmotivated, that reason why that you feel strongly is what keeps you going. If you don't have a strong reason, if it's just because you've made some small reasons in the past, like you want to get rich or you want to have a business, if it's not deep and emotional, then you'll just quit when it gets hard. And you'll quit before you're able to get to real success. So what is it for you? Is it escaping the 9 to 5? Is it giving your family a better life? Is it providing to yourself? Is it proving to yourself, rather, that you can do this? What is it for you that would give you a strong reason why, that would help you push through, even after a busy work day, to get back into work? You need to take some time to really find out what that is. Again, inside my community, I won't show you again, but I have a system to help you find your why, so you know what you're working for and you can push through with difficult times. Now finally, step 5 is to know what to focus on by getting around others. So this is the final step. You can work as hard as you like, you can have a routine in place, you can be relying on habits, but if you don't know what it is exactly that you're working on, then all of that time and effort will be wasted, because it's not good enough just to work hard. We have to work hard on things that matter to other people. And the quickest way I know, and the quickest way I found to easily find out what it is I needed to work on, was by getting around other people. Because if you're working alone, it's easy to just waste time on the wrong things and to try and work out what it is you need to do all on your own. It's very time consuming. So instead, get around others who are on the same journey or a few steps ahead of you, because you can just take the shortcuts. You can learn from the mistakes they've made and not make the same mistakes, and you can ultimately keep each other accountable and eliminate distractions, because you're going to be pushing yourself through any distraction because you've got people around you that are holding you accountable, and they'll make sure that you're working on what actually moves the needle. It's so easy to just work hard and feel like we're being busy but not actually being productive if we're not working on the right things. So ultimately, if you want to go somewhere fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And that's why I strongly believe in the power of community and getting around people. And when you've got a community that's like Relentless Co. that I've built here, this free community, these are people that are behind you every step of the way. They want you to succeed and they want to help you. And when you've got people like that around you, suddenly you've got a team of people that are pushing for your success. Now let me bring out these graphs one more time, just again, because this illustrates perfectly what happens if you go alone. When we go alone, we have initial motivation. But when we find an obstacle that we've never seen before, we've got no one to turn to. And so progress goes back down. Versus if you go together, if you have communities around you that are supporting you, at the same period of time when things are getting tough, you'll have somebody to turn to give you the emotional support and the tactical support, so you can keep pushing on and you'll get to that inevitable success and the smiley face that we're talking about today. So with that said, I want to leave you with one thing today, and that is that consistency beats intensity. So one action per day is all you need. If you take one thing away from this video, it's to break down that big goal that you've got, that you're building alongside your 9 to 5 job. And ultimately, all it comes down to is that one action that you take per day. It's all you need over the long term. With focus on that one thing, with consistency, with accountability from other people around you, you'll achieve anything that you set your mind to. And I know that's true because I've seen it for myself, I've seen it for so many other people. But as long as you have consistency in place and you follow those steps, you can build a business alongside a 9 to 5 job without burning out. So with that said, let me know in the comments below which step in particular you feel like you're struggling with most right now, because I'd like to help you. I'd like to hear about it in the comments. So let me know what it is you're struggling with while you're building a business alongside a 9 to 5 job. We're here to help on this channel, and I want to build a channel of people who are empowering each other, pushing each other through entrepreneurship alongside 9 to 5 jobs. So with that said, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know. I hope to see you in the comment section. I hope to see you in the community as well. And with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.